that don't want what we know out there.
How a person can go from really almost nothing to becoming a millionaire by owning rental properties.
He would always buy these flip houses, and I just remember thinking, this guy is crazy. Why would he buy that house?
In the past decade, there's been a huge surge in the peer-to-peer short-term rental market.
Become an insider. So you have to know the rules before you get in the game.
Every second counts. So make every second count.
Welcome to the Real Estate Jam. Whether you're just beginning or the best of the best, we're glad you're here. We will share successes, failures, and strategies for the action-taking real estate investor. And now to your hosts, JD and Melissa.
Welcome to the Real Estate Jam podcast. I'm JD with my wonderful and lovely co-host, Melissa.
Hello, JD.
Hi, Melissa. You've been running around all day. I'm glad you made it.
Thanks for waiting for me, guys.
Hey, well, I'm really excited to introduce you guys to our guest today. We have the wonderful Jill Young, who's the head coach at EOS Worldwide, and EOS Worldwide is obviously we were first introduced to it through the book Traction. Yeah, right there. It's a phenomenal book that kind of took blinders off.
Business changing for sure.
Right. And so we're super excited, Jill, to have you on the show today. Thank you so much for being here.
Well, it is my pleasure. I always love to talk with business owners and your real estate investors. Again, if you're just beginning or if you're a pro, all of us, every type of entrepreneur, we need to know how to run a business. JD, you said just as we were talking before the show started that, a lot of times we're not taught how to run a business in school or anywhere else. We're taught concepts, but how to really run it on a day-to-day basis to where we're not running around with too short of hair. JD?
Awesome. Well, Jill, for maybe some of our listeners, and we've talked about Traction before, but for some of our listeners who haven't heard about Traction or EOS, can you kind of bring them up to speed so they know what we're talking about?
Yeah. Well, first of all, let's just start with why would a company want to run on this system? And the system is called the Entrepreneurial Operating System. So that's just EOS for short. I'll be using that all day long. EOS. It is found, the whole system is found right here in this book, Traction. And you know what it really boils down to is entrepreneurs in this world, most of us, unfortunately, 95% of us are frustrated. Yes. Okay, here we go. All right, I hit a little nerve right there. We start this business because we love our craft, because we see an opportunity, especially your audience, right? Real estate investing. It's like, oh, where's the opportunity? We see that opportunity. Sometimes we're working for someone else and we're frustrated with how they're doing it. We have these visionary ideas of how we could do it better. So we start off on our own. And we wake up one day and we're like, wait a minute, I'm working more now. I'm growing some gray hairs now. What happened to that plan? And we have ups and we have downs and we have swings and, you win some in investing, right? We hope, yes, we win. But then, sometimes we don't want to talk about that we lose some. And we just really wake up and we think, gosh, is there a better way to do it? And really, that's how I found this system personally. So I've been coaching this system for almost 10 years. But before I did that, I was a frustrated leader. And I was running a CPA firm. Lots of our clients were real estate and real estate investors. So I know what you guys are doing over there. And it's crazy. It's sometimes crazy fun too, right?
Yeah.
Sometimes. But there we go. We hope. Yeah. And I was running this CPA firm and I was hitting a ceiling. I was so frustrated. We had opened 2 locations and, I'd be here at this location and that location was fine. And then, oh no, this location wasn't fine. And so I'd run over there and then this one was fine. And then that one wasn't fine. So I'd run over there. I'm sure you guys kind of know what that might feel like. And I lamented to a friend. I said, hey, I guess I'm just not very good at this. And I know we've all had days like that where we wake up and think, what am I doing? And he said to me, Jill, this is very impactful. If you're taking notes right now, write this down. There's nothing wrong with you. There's something wrong with your system. And it was just a light bulb moment for me. And he handed me this book and he said, read this. And I said, no, I've read all the books. Look, I got I'm sure you guys have felt that way too, because when we're frustrated business owners, we want this thing to work. So we're just grasping at straws and we cobble together our own system and we think, okay, well, maybe this will work. But in the end, we're frustrated with the profit. Sometimes the revenue is good, but the profit isn't quite there. We're frustrated with the people. As you grow, you hire people. Melissa, you mentioned you've got 20 agents. So you have people in your life, and sometimes their people are frustrating. So how do we really harness their human energy? So the founder of the system, author of the book, Gino Wickman, he went to work about 20 years ago trying to figure it out. What makes that 5% of the companies, entrepreneurial companies, not frustrated? And then he put that together, and we've refined it over. He refined it over several years. And now that's what we EOS implementers, that's what I am. We have 600 of us throughout the country. That's what we do. We help people implement this system. So that's a little bit about the system right there.
Sure. And I think there's some really good concepts that the book Traction puts into place, gives you a vocabulary to speak about your business in a way that if you're not don't have some big business degree, you're not taught how to think about it, you won't have. Can you maybe tell us a little bit, like, what does EOS do for a business or for an entrepreneur? What does it do for us?
Right. Yeah, I'm happy to talk about that. So we have EOS is really three things. What it does for an entrepreneurial company, we call those three things vision, traction, and healthy. So vision from the standpoint of first working with the leadership team, and even if that's just you, you are the leadership team, you are leading this company. Even if it's you and an assistant, you and two agents. So whatever that means to you, whoever's leading this company, we've got to get, let's just say the three of you on the same page with who you are, where you're going, and how you're going to get there. We can never run the company of our dreams without knowing where we're trying to go. And we have tools for that. But then after that, if you have more employees, once the leadership team is on the same page with that, you've got to get the whole entire company to see the vision, buy into the vision, so we're all moving in one direction. That's vision. Traction, and none of this is rocket science. Traction means that we're going to create this company that's very disciplined and accountable. And if those two words sound scary to you, if you're the entrepreneur listening to this right now, if you have people working for you, that probably doesn't sound scary to you. You're like, yay. If you're the only person in your company, you're like, ooh, do I have to be disciplined and accountable? Yes. Yes, you do. Yes,
What are you looking at?
Oh, that's great, Melissa. You've got the look, right? Right.
We have these discussions a lot.
Yes.
I have
yes,
really good
yes,
ideas, and Melissa executes them really well, but I execute very poorly.
There we go. Well, with the tools, JD, the tools help you. The tools do, I say to my clients, 80% of the heavy lifting. They're just going to drive us forward if we just simply use the tools to, again, create that traction in the company. And again, we start with the leaders. So JD, I'm talking to you, right? Here you go. Melissa, you asked me earlier, you said, now you're a coach, right? I'm like, oh yeah. So JD, you're seeing some coaching right now here.
Perfect.
Right? Yeah, there you go. You can do it. But it's that traction that we create first with the leadership team. And as goes the leadership team, so goes the rest of the company. And these tools are so simple. At the end of this, I'll let you know where you can download them for free. I can send you a free book. You can do all of this for free, which is also fun. But we've got vision, we've got traction. Now, here's where, most teams are like, okay, that's cool. What else would you ever need? You got the vision, you've got traction, you're doing the things every day that are going to get you to that vision. What else could you possibly need? The third thing is sometimes really the thing that's missing and that needs to be instilled the most to wrap your arms around all of the tools. And we call that healthy. Now, healthy is once we've got our vision, we've got our traction, now we need to communicate. We're going to cooperate. We're going to collaborate. Choose all of the other great words to represent teamwork. We need to listen to each other. We're going to be very open, honest, transparent. And that's what when you implement the tools and the process of EOS, again found in the book Traction, when you implement those tools, that's what you get. You get a clear vision, everyone working towards the same vision, that traction, and then of course that really healthy company that just becomes fun and scalable and repeatable and really becomes that company of your dreams that you always wanted. It's the opposite of that frustration. But that's what it really does for a company. Now you guys have started thinking about the tools, working with some of the tools. I'm interested if you've seen yourself have any aha moments in working within the process, anything that you would like to highlight for your listeners of what's really starting to work for you.
So I think when we're talking about tracking things and holding people accountable, when it comes to everybody has a number and a KPI, and then even with the way that we run our meetings, having an update on the numbers and trying, we're not very good at this yet, but trying to keep the meeting focused on what the meeting's there for, not to solve all of the pain points or the problems right there in the meeting. I think that has helped us immensely. And then, like I said, just trying to get everybody on their own number that they're responsible for is it's not perfect yet, but it's where we're working towards.
What about the seats?
Oh yeah, and definitely the different seats in our business and the org chart is something that is constantly evolving for us, but it helps us hold, if more than one person's accountable for a task or an item, then no one is. And so we're trying to work that out as well.
That's awesome. I'm so pleased. I'm proud. You're using the language. You're seeing where the tools are helping you. I can be more proud right now. You're finding that there is success even here in the beginnings of your journey, which is what a lot of companies find. It's these simple things that we already know we should be doing them. But what we've done at EOS is we put them into a model and a process. I'm just gonna peel back the layers of the onion a little bit for your listeners as to what's really going on here with your company. This is the EOS model. You can find this on our website. You don't need to read every single one of these words or anything. I just wanted to kind of briefly show it to you. But you mentioned everyone has a number. And right there, that comes straight from the data component. We know that especially entrepreneurial companies, they've got to be strong in 6 key components. One of those is data. Too many entrepreneurial companies, we run our businesses with egos and feelings and subjectivity and, oh, I'm going to hire my deadbeat nephew because he needs a job. And it just doesn't work. It just doesn't work. So I love that you're finding that everyone has a number. That's a concept right from the data component. You also talked about the people component. We've got that tool called the accountability chart. And really what it's helping you do, JD and Melissa, is get the right people in the right seat. And many, many books written about the right people in the right seats on the right bus. But the tools are helping you really clearly identify that. Again, because just because your deadbeat nephew needs a job, it doesn't mean he gets a job, right?
Well, not with our company anyway.
That's right. Not with our company. Now, I don't have any deadbeat nephews. I'm just going to say that. But then the last one I just wanted to point out is your meetings. And your meetings actually come from that traction component. The one JD where you were like, oh no, am I disciplined and accountable? And Melissa looked at you like, and you mentioned they're not perfect yet. And I have yet to sit in a perfect meeting because we are human. But when you follow that agenda, when you're checking in on your numbers, are they on track or off track? Are you checking in on your high priorities? Are they on track or off track? Just that simple, we're paying attention to it, helps you stay focused throughout the week because we're human. We're human. So that's one of the things I love about the system is it's designed around how humans work, not how we should work, because that rarely works, right? This is how the economy should work for investors. And then this is how it really works. It's like, oh, how do we know? So it's really designed around humans and it takes into account all of our human flaws. Sometimes I'll say it's self-healing. EOS is self-healing. If you miss something one week, you're going to come back to it the next week. So I'm glad to see that you're finding some good success right there.
Yeah, absolutely. And we'll work to get better every day. That's the whole process.
Every day.
It's a process, not a endpoint.
You're spot on. And even for your listeners too, I just commend you for starting. Too many entrepreneurs just say, oh, I guess this is what my life gets to look like if I'm going to have my own business. And we don't have to do that. Just even little steps towards that company that you really want it to be. Celebrate those little steps. Celebrate those little steps. It's going to give you fuel for the following step.
That's great. So, obviously we think that Traction's a great book and that the EOS is a great operating system for anybody. But I'm wondering, if somebody's listening to a podcast right now and they're thinking, well, it's just me. Should I do this? Like, who is this for? Somebody just starting out, somebody with a, Fortune 500 company, like who does this apply to? And then not just the system, but then as far as the EOS coaching, what level would that be for?
Perfect. So the good news is, like I mentioned, is we have options for everybody. Gino Wickman, when he first published the system, he had a decision to make. And it was, hey, I think I figured something out. Do I keep it for myself or do I share it with the world? And thank goodness he shared it with the world. And we've always kept that abundance mentality. So really everything an entrepreneur needs to run on the system is in this book, and it's in the free downloadable tools. That's at www.eosworldwide.com. It's all very intuitive. You can download the free tools, and it works for all entrepreneurial companies who want to be open and honest and vulnerable, companies who want to grow, companies who love people, companies who have trust and love at their core. And this is just what we found is most entrepreneurs. Usually if you decide you want to be an entrepreneur, there's a little bit of like, yeah, I would really like to make that money. But really at the core, if you get right down to everything, it's freedom. We want freedom of time, freedom of money, freedom of purpose to make an impact. So if this is why it's the entrepreneurial operating system, not the bureaucratic or governmental operating system, because sometimes they have other motivations, right? That's it. So really it's that entrepreneurial mindset that it works for. Now, sometimes, companies we've got companies running on EOS that have thousands of employees. We've got companies running on EOS that have 7 employees. Many, many, many other companies, including mine. My little company that I do my coaching from has 3 people. We run on EOS. Usually between about 10 and 250 employees is where you'll want a coach. You'll want we call ourselves implementers, an implementer like me. It starts to have some dynamics where you're really going to need somebody who's done it 100 times before, where you might step in a little pothole or get a little muddy if you don't have a coach. But you don't need a coach. People who hire coaches don't need coaches. They want a coach. So they want that head start. They want the shortcut No shortcuts in the hard work. The hard work, we're never exonerated from hard work, but we can help you get it done just a little bit faster with a little less. Did that answer your question, JD?
Yeah, great.
Okay.
I definitely think so. So one, EOS is for everybody, and start it sooner rather than later, but you're probably not going to need a coach until you're around 10 people in your organization.
That's right. That's
plus.
typically where uh that's typically where the entrepreneur wants coaching.
Hmm.
It starts to get a little complex. 5, 6, 7 people, the tools are simple, whether it's 1,000 people or 5 people, but implementing the tools, there's a few more decisions to make once you get past 10 people. And it's just how humans work. It's just, you put 10 people into a room, there's going to be complexities that you'll want to coach with. Anything less than that, sometimes you can figure it out on your own. Yeah,
Awesome.
for sure. Now, one thing I also just wanted to offer is, even though that lots of companies are running on EOS without a coach, what we want every company to do is, if you want to run on EOS, we have 600 coaches around the world. What we want to do for you is, we want to get you started, and we get you started for free. You're going to meet with a coach for about 90 minutes, and they just show you the whole system. I've just given you little dabbles today, but they're going to walk you through all of the tools. They'll teach you exactly how to get started, and we do that for free. One of our core values is help first. It's just how we share the love with the world. So you are absolutely not alone. Even if you want to go it alone, you still have a coach backing you up. You can always call the coach, ask a question or two, and we're very happy to help.
That's awesome.
That's super cool.
We're probably going to be signing up for that.
Let's do it. We got to get you. That's right.
Yeah.
You owe it to yourselves. You owe it to yourselves to see the system and see what we paint a picture of what 100% looks like for you. So then you can set that goal and go for it.
That's awesome. Now, you did drop the website for the free tools, but if our listeners wanted to find out more about you, more about EOS, you're also an author and you have a couple of books out. So if you wouldn't mind sharing the names of those books so that they can look those up too, and then point us in the direction to find out more about you.
Great. Well, I'm Jill Young. You can find me on the EOS Worldwide website if you just look under the directory. If you want to know a little bit more about me personally and some other things that I do, like my books that I've written, you can also visit me at jillyoung.com. So that's easy, jillyoung.com. But yes, I have written a couple of books. I'm sure JD and Melissa, you feel the same way too. When you get into a topic, you start having ahas, and you start creating things and thinking about things. And sometimes I will tell my friends, and since we're friends now, I'll tell you and your audience, sometimes I feel like I write books just to burn off the crazy stuff up here. Right? You got to get it out somehow. So I've written 3 books. If you read them and you think, yeah, she's a little crazy, now you know the secret. I just write to burn off the crazy, burn up all that extra energy up there. But I have written 3 books. I call them the Advantage series. I've got the Earning Advantage, and this is really for people who want to make more money as an employee. But I really wrote it for the bosses who receive those requests. Mm-hmm. Hey, boss, can I have a raise? Oh, we're like, oh, what do I do about that? You just simply hand this person the book, and then it really creates a really nice conversation around everybody adding value in the organization. I wrote the Courage Advantage. That's the second book. This really talks about people who are implementing an operating system, like, JD and Melissa, you're starting to implement this operating system. Some things to watch out for. It really has some highlights of some pitfalls. So I'm happy to send that book to any entrepreneur who thinks they are ready for this. I can give you some heads up on what to maybe look for without having me in the room. And then the third book is the Thinking Advantage. And this really helps companies encourage every human in their company to really think about things instead of just do things because that's the way they've always been done. So those are the 3 books. You can find them on my website. They're all on Amazon as well. But thanks for asking.
Awesome. Well, we really appreciate
Wow,
your
that was
time.
super great.
There's so much valuable information. I think we could have turned this into a 6-hour podcast. But
Well, you get right. We had a constraint, and we did what we could with the time in there. I love it. I love it.
yeah, absolutely. So, well, we really appreciate you coming on. If you guys took away some value, make sure you head over there to those websites and check that stuff out. I'm telling you, it'll change your business life.
For
Well,
sure.
I'm excited, and remember all of the coaches around the international. We've got coaches everywhere. We can even do these 90-minute workshops for you virtually. So don't go it alone. You can do it on your own. You can do it for free, but we can stand there with you as well. Please reach out to one of us. We'd be happy to help.
Thank you so much, Jill.
Awesome. Thanks for having me on. Thank you, entrepreneurs, for everything you do for our world. I really believe you help the world roll forward with positivity, and it's my pleasure to support you.
Awesome.
Thank you.
Thank you for listening to the Real Estate Jam. We hope you enjoyed today's episode. For more information, check out our website, therealestatejam.com, or find us on Instagram, Facebook, and Twitter at The Real Estate Jam. If you have any questions, feel free to drop us an email at therealestatejam@gmail.com. See you next episode.